Riding Hood, take one.
What's going on, fellas? Oh wait, can I do this thing? No. Ah, whatever. Let's ease us in. Let's ease us right in. There we go. Hope you guys are enjoying your morning. It's been a busy morning. Busy, busy, busy. Oh, wait. How do I do that? Oh, whatever. Look at that. Busy as heck in the chat. It's good to see you guys. We're on the Red Morning. I was expecting today to wear the new Red Morning merch. I was so psyched for it. I ordered it like 2 weeks ago. And they did the one thing I hate. We'll get into the topics here. Let me just finish this topic. I got my phone because I'm looking at the delivery schedule so I can completely bitch about DHL. Dude, I don't have many companies that I truly hate, but DHL is one of them. In fact, it's pretty much the only one. Because they do a few really shady practices. I don't know if you guys have ever done any deliveries, but if they ever have to ship something from the States to Canada... Oh, it just arrived. Well, I'm not leaving the cast to go get it, but... Yeah, so they make you pay their own duty charges, which depends on the price of what you're ordering. So it'll usually up the price by something by about 40%, which is annoying as hell. And so I can fight with them on the phone for 3 hours, or I can just give them $20 and give me my goddamn clothes. But then they take forever. And every time I have a company that delivers something like this, I always complain to them. I'm like, dude, I don't care what you do. I will pay the extra. Just do not send it through DHL. Yeah, Spring says Friday for me. DHL says October 1st. Yeah, they're absolutely brutal. So for those guys ordering the merch, it looks like right now they switched over to DHL. I gotta look. I gotta look and I gotta fix it because I don't like it. I don't like how other people have to deal with it. I don't know what they're like. Maybe they're great in the States. It's just once you cross into Canada, they become ridiculous. But hey, that's whatever. Yeah. They keep sleep flipping buttons at me, telling me to send pictures. All right. Oh, they're just brutal. Oh, yeah, the dog shadows. Well, we should have some dog shadows. We'll see. The girl's back in town now. She's watching Top Gun in the other room, so... Looks like... And this is weird. I've become Stefan Molyneux. You guys remember Stefan Molyneux? And I hate myself for it. Like, I remember it when he was sitting there with, like... At least I got some background, like, stuff here. I got my, leadership manual, my book, all the other books... The Rule Zero guys books, my shadow box, my crossing the line ceremony and stuff like that, my Order of Heracles, my Order of the Ditch, Order of Magellan, and the new Scotch. That one there, I'm pretty psyched about it. Spey Tenai. It's cask strength, which means like 60%. So, oh man, that's going to be rough. But that's fine. It's special occasion stuff. Special occasion stuff. Looking forward to it. Yeah, why did I start talking about eggs? No, because his entire brand was just him sitting here, staring at the camera, rambling about philosophy and that. And I just realized it's like 1984 where I'm sitting here, it's a screen, and it's just like, you guys need to, the Democrats are, like, oh. Like, I enjoy this stuff. I think Allie put it very weird a couple days ago when she's like, so my impression of Ryan's content is he's one of those guys that really nerded out on a super niche space and truly enjoys the content, which fair, because I don't talk a lot about my red pill journey, nor should I, because I'm one of the few online guys who doesn't make it all about himself, which I guess is why I'm so small. I have a theory on this. I can't prove it, and this isn't red pill, this is just the Ryan theory of people, but how everybody latches on to, like, Tate or Peterson or whoever. And they latch onto him like Dad 2.0 because they got this great bombastic personality and they draw you in. It's because men are raised like defective women. And for men and women, there's certain psychological disorders that are predominantly ours. For men, it's narcissistic personality disorder. For women, it's borderline personality disorder. And the difference is the narcissist makes everything about them and their little their internal identity fantasies. The borderline bases their identity on the strongest person in the room. Literally a girl falling for her hypergamous best option and then liking the things that he likes. And since men are being raised as defective women, you put this giant narcissistic, giant ego on the screen, and everybody's swooning over him in the same way that Beatlemania had 15-year-old girls in the 60s scratching their faces just to see him in concert. Am I right? Am I wrong? I don't know. But I have a feeling I'm right. But at the same time, I'm not going to make a huge amount of content on it because I don't want to be one of those philosophy guys like Stefan Molyneux that's so busy, letting you know how smart I fucking am that I miss the point. And the point isn't me on this one. The point is you. So speaking of which, looking through the topics for today, we're going to have a few of them. One's going to be covert contracts. And I know, it's like the first thing you guys read when you become red pill. It's the thing that everybody knows. I've been harping on it for 4 years now. But, and I just got a great example this morning. I won't say who, I won't say how I found out, but years in this space, people are still finding covert contracts and they're oblivious to them. So it's one of those things that you just can't get away from. You just can't. So on top of that, it's going to be the concept of sexual diabetes, which you guys may or may not know about. That's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, it's an ongoing battle like alcoholism. Actually, I like that's a good way of putting it. The medium is the message. What's the meaning behind that and why subtext is important? And then something else, like why you're lost. Why there's lost boys. We're going to talk a little bit about lost boys because I'm obviously dealing with guys who've already been in a relationship, but a lot of people still are lost, and so the difference is, for a lot of guys who aren't lost, they've just attached their raison d'être, or their reason to be, literally raison d'être, reason of to be, or reason of being, onto being the good husband, making a wife, basically putting the woman on a pedestal, and then living your life to accommodate that. And then once they get red pilled, they kind of have an issue where it's like, it could be like a 45-year-old guy, and he's like, I don't know what to do with the rest of my life now that my wife and kids aren't the goal. And this is why, and this is what you're lost. I have one here on a topic. I don't know if there's going to be enough time for it, but it's about the table. What you bring to the table, blah, blah, blah. And it's kind of derivative. We'll hit it if we have time. We'll see. So let me see. Where did I put my leave you here? How you guys been? Twitch is done, by the way. Twitch is done. Oh yeah, I am the table. Twitch is so done. Dude, they've had, like, in the past 10 days, they've had sexual assault allegation, a girl having sex on stream. They just nuked all the preferred Twitch streamer income splits from 70-30 to 50-50, so everybody just took a 20% hit. They've increased the amount of unskippable ads prior to even viewing content. Oh man, we're gonna see how price elastic streaming services are. We'll see. They call Andrew Tate the mulatto lotto. What the hell? I don't even know what that means. Like, I know what that means, but I don't know what that means. Where did we leave off? Oh, of course. What? Where's my thing?
Boom, what's up fam? Got some big news to share that unfortunately is not so good, so I'm gonna jump right into it. You're gonna watch this video and you're gonna cry. At least we can laugh at your eyes as you cry looking in the corner like a little girl in the fetal position.
Those cold dead eyes, man. Those cold dead eyes. I can't get over it. Anyway, covert contracts. This is the very first thing, if you ever decide to, like, seriously, take red pills seriously and not literally, is you learn about the concept of a covert contract. And it's simple to explain. It's easy to understand. Probably the most difficult thing to implement. For example, I'm going to do something with the expectations that you'll reciprocate by doing something else. And then by doing that, I'm going to avoid any conflict and have a problem-free life. That is the template for all covert contracts. And it's funny because there's so many things you could fit into there that you wouldn't think. Like, at first, that's like, okay, so I don't take a girl out on a date and think, oh, well, now I'm entitled to sex. But I don't do that, right? Of course you don't. Some guys do. Some guys don't think about it, and that's the covert part of it. A lot of guys are like, I wasn't pushy. It's like, you don't have to be pushy. In fact, being pushy is what makes it negotiating desire. We're not talking about negotiating desire. We're talking about a covert contract. The idea is you go on a good date, you have a great time, and you expect her to love you for it, or you treat her well, and then when she acts like a, borderline personality disorder type girl and just falls right out of love with you, then you realize, oh, okay. I can't believe that. I was nothing but nice to her, and now she's mean to me. Discovered one today. See, Bishop has been around for years. Just discovering one today is kind of crazy. Love to see Twitch implode. Yeah. So as a guy, you kind of have to just understand and accept that you're probably never going to get rid of them. There's always something there. But you're not striving for perfection. I mean, this is the weirdest thing is that for as much as people say we're some weird evil cult, how much stuff we steal from like the spiritual, not religious side of things. Covert contracts, to get rid of them, is to literally do the Buddhist desire to be without want, Like, I don't want anything from anybody. Therefore, when I do things, I have no expectations of reciprocation. And that's kind of where you have to be. And I know you guys love it. I love hearing it. Rich Cooper always, do the work, do the work, do the work. And I'm going, yeah, do the work. But, and here's the thing that makes me laugh. Everybody agrees with it. You'll watch like 1,800 different channels talking about the work. Yeah, do the work, do the work. This is something I came up with myself and didn't steal from Rich. Okay. Define the. What kind of Bill Clinton crap is that? What do you mean the? Define the work. The work. Be specific, sir. Well, that's behind my Gumroad course. I'm like, dude, trust me. You don't need to hide that behind a course. There is enough content. I can offer you guys the work in great specificity for years. In fact, that's all I have been doing. And yet you'll still need more. It's an ongoing process. It never stops. The work when you're starting out is like to understand why you're angry, to use that anger in a productive way, start doing boundary reinforcement, start working out, getting the anger out of your system, starting to take that new neural plasticity you've developed and, build new mental models to learn to stop shedding covert contracts, stop expecting anything from your wife. I don't expect anything from you. And guys get mad at that, or wife or girlfriend or date. What do you mean can't expect anything from her? I married her, so why wouldn't I expect anything from her? Because, frankly, there's no consequence. If she decides not to do anything, if she decides to just be lazy and cash them checks, no consequence. Can't hold her accountable. Can't do anything about it. What are you going to do? You going to enforce your will physically? Well, there's some cops that like to talk to you about that. Oh, you have a career. Well, not anymore. Not after that. So yeah, you can't have any expectations. You can't hold these bitches accountable. These 304s accountable. Can't hold them accountable. Of course not. So what do? You take your ball and go home. I'm going to go make time. I'm going my own way, and I'm going to tell everybody how they missed out on a great thing. And I'm like, yeah, sure you are. I've seen every MGTOW I've seen, even the guys that say they're like top tier men, a 5-minute conversation, and you're like, I can see why. I can see why you were sent your own way. Dude, just because you got muscles doesn't mean you're charming. Just because you got money doesn't mean you're great. Just because you got celebrity status, just because you got a brand, just because you got a dick, just because you got hookers falling all over you, girls are all over you. It doesn't matter, man. What's the Levine guy with his? Did you see his new tweets where he's sitting there like talking like a 14-year-old boy, a 14-year-old virgin on his texts? Yeah, his fame and his looks have gotten him past a lot of really horrible game. But I guarantee you right now, his Victoria's Secret model wife is putting him through the exact same ringer that you had last week with that frumpy 4 that's sitting in your house, giving you shit because you didn't, do the dishes right. Exactly the same. But he's been able to coast on his natural talent and his natural fame. But right now, doesn't give a shit. And that should give you a level of comfort. It gives me a level of comfort. It doesn't matter. You can be... I can't think of who's the most, like The Rock or Brad Pitt was always the go-to example for like attractive man archetypes. You could be Brad Pitt and your wife will still leave your ass. Doesn't care. She did. In fact, she did. She left. She took all them little African kids, everything. So, covert contracts, expectations. Just because you put a ring on it doesn't mean she's going to provide, sex on tap. Doesn't mean she's going to provide lifelong commitment. Doesn't mean she's going to provide anything. And you have to be okay with that. I know it's a weird thing, but this is almost... Everybody talks about rites of passage, and I hate the concept, because it's like, dude, The last people to have rites of passage died off when the agricultural revolution took over. I don't think in the last 5,000 years we've done really that bad without them. But if you really must have a rite of passage, here's one for you. Stop expecting things from women. Stop. Well, they can still provide things. Oh, yeah, of course. But you can't expect it. In fact, by expecting it, you almost make it less likely to happen. And that's for two reasons. Like, one, less likely to happen because nobody likes pressure put on them, especially women. Women hate rejection. They hate pressure. They're neurotic, panicky little creatures. Bless them for it. Bless their hearts. Panicky little creatures. And that pressure on them will lead them to think more about how to relieve the pressure than by how to do those nice things. And what's the best way to relieve pressure? Fail in a way that makes it somebody else's fault. That is the go-to feminine strategy of not wanting to be blamed. And you know whose fault it is if it's not theirs? Yours. So many guys. And then guys actually get confused after, like, look, first time it happens, I get it. I get it. Dude, I treated her great and she treated me like crap. What's up with that? Well, you learn now. Maybe stop treating them that way. Maybe give them a little bit of a challenge to try and win you over. Maybe always act in a relationship like you have one foot out the door so that you're on your game. You want to know that when she's doing things, when she's adding value to your life, it's a conscious choice, not a negotiated, obligated thing. Because if you're going to focus on obligated desire, which that's what the married type, the trad married types like, that's what the Christian single guys dating are like, that's what all these like male feminist types are like, they all do the same thing. They are like, okay, if we set up a rule that makes you have to fulfill my covert contract, then all I have to do is do what I say in the rules, and then you do what you'd say. And they think they're building some kind of like hard as rule book, but what they're really doing is just playing Calvin ball. Now, girls are great at Calvin ball. Calvin always beat Hobbes in Calvin ball. Guess why? It's because it's called Calvin ball, and he makes the rules. Girls will just make up their own rules. They don't care. And worst case scenario, they always have that other rule where it's like, well, if I just call you an abuser, some other guy who's as thirsty as you are, if not thirstier, will put up with my shit because I just love him and tell him everything you want. Like a hypothetical example. You know what? Let's skip that one. I was going to say, I don't want to talk shop outside of school or talk outside of class. Galvin ball. That's too early for a Canadian to be up, please and thank you. Don't forget, man, I'm ex-military. Like, getting up at 6 a.m, that's been my raison d'etre for, like, my entire adult life. So, right now, just sleeping in till 7:30 is like a gift from the gods. And then, finally got in a position in my life where, hey, I can do this. I can sleep in if I want. I don't have to be up for anything. And what I do, I buy a stupid dog who's, like, got a drug addiction to anti-seizure meds, and it's like 6:30. Get up, human. Give me my piece of cheese that makes me stop feeling so edgy. Little drug addict. Yeah. Look at that. Every female manager I ever had. Side note. Absolutely makes me laugh. I have gotten to the point, there's like two things I always hear that make me laugh. The first one is the critically undervalued thing, or criminally undervalued, or however you want to put it. Where somebody's like, I can't believe you're not bigger. Like, all of this stuff resonates so hard. Like, geez, I wish somebody had told me this stuff when I was 20 years old. I wish somebody had told me this stuff 20 years ago. This is exactly my life. Every video of mine, you look through the comments, there's at least like a few guys who are like, dude, I'm literally going through this right now. Where the hell were you 5 years ago? And that's the one thing. The second thing that always makes me laugh is when I'll tell you guys something. I'll give you guys a sexual strategy. I'll give you a red pill thing. I'll let you know about why the Rollo article is written the way it is, or one of mine, or whatever, one of my videos. And you guys will be like, yeah, okay, I get it. And then you go and you live your life and you totally ignore it. But then the thing that I said would happen, it's like literally like, how did you know? I literally heard you say the things. I went and did my own thing. And then the thing you said would happen just happened. So what do I do? And I'm like, well, here's what happens then if you do this and you do this, generally speaking. And they're going, okay. And most of the time, guys will not do what I say every time. Or at least take the lessons I said and apply them properly. I think that's a better way, because I don't want to tell you what to do. And if I had a nickel for every time some guy said, how did you know that was going to happen that way? I swear to God, I would be sitting up here selling Bugatti courses. And it's not because I'm smart. Look, I'm not the smartest guy on earth. I'm okay. I do well. But Chesty, Rule Zero Dad put it best when he said, if you follow anything for like 3 years or so, you're going to notice a cycle. Everything starts, middles, and ends the exact same way. And it turns out, in the same way that politics is the same, like, oh, it's the year before politics, Republicans turn into Nazis, and oh, it's the election time, we know what's going to happen here. Oh, it's the midterm, so now we're going to find, oh, some riots happen when Democrats need, like, all that stuff. It always happens very predictably. Well, it's the same thing with relationships. It's the same thing with dating. It's the same thing with sex. It's the same thing with brands. And you just realize, okay, it's not that I'm smarter. It's just that I've been around longer and I had the audacity to pay the fuck attention. That's all it is. Am I crazy or is the screen black? No, the screen's not black. Try refreshing. My preview is actually working rather fine right now. I am not your failure. Yeah, Santiago, you absolutely have it. Go learn it the hard way. That was actually the big running joke for the longest time, because what would happen is guys would with covert contracts especially, is they'd walk in, they go, okay, here's my situation, what do I do? And everybody's like, look, just so you know, this is the dynamic at play, and if you do all these unattractive behaviors, more than likely this bad situation is going to happen. And the guy's like, okay, thanks, I needed to hear that. And you're just basically calling him an idiot. And he's like, I get it, I'm an idiot, thanks, man, perfect. He goes out there, does what he was not supposed to do, and then the exact thing you tell him ends up happening. And then he comes back. He's like, all right, so that was my life, and then you told me to do this, or this would happen. I didn't do this, and then the thing you told me that would happen did happen, so now how do I fix it? And at that point, you're kind of just like, well, this is the consequence of your actions part. I guess just take solace in the fact that there's nothing you can do at this point, and so it should give you a measure of calmness, realizing that the divorce is just going to go through, the relationship's going to do what it does, and nothing you can change at this point. All your decisions have been made, and now you just get to learn from it. And so it got to the point that as soon as you hear a guy give you, yeah, man, like as soon as you realize he wants you to call him an idiot, give him that Catholic absolution, you're like, all right, I'm going to give you the official, red-pilled, seal of approval, certificate, signed and notarized, to give you permission to do whatever the hell you were going to do anyway, and go learn this the hard way. I almost want to make an actual one and hand him off. Shut up, Megatron, shut up. Yeah, so it's like Cook. With covert contracts, I get it. It's easy to explain. It's easy to sit here and nod your head and understand it. It's going to be hard to implement. Everybody does it. Dude, I've been around this stupid space for like off and on 10 years. And I still occasionally make some. But the difference is, and here's what you're striving for. You're not striving for perfection. You're striving for awareness. I should have never given you guys an opinion on anything, because then you guys just run that shit into the ground. You know what this is in chat right now? If you guys are looking at the group chat, yeah, it's just them poking fun at the smart guy stuff, right? This is like in the 90s when Wayne's World came out. I think I was in high school at the time. I can't remember. Maybe elementary school, doesn't matter. But Wayne's World came out. Everybody went and watched it. And then you go to school the next day, and then nobody would talk to each other. They would just quote Wayne's World quotes at each other. And they did that for like every one of his damn movies. They did that for Austin Powers. They did that for Wayne's World 2. And it's like Dumb and Dumber. And you just realize like life was a series of rehashed memes around the water cooler. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, covert contracts, they do what they do. You can't let it get to you too much. But awareness. And I've talked about this before. I mostly talk about this one in the Patreon, but it's fine to see everybody goes through a specific series of events. You know how there's like the 5 stages of grief? You get guilty, angry, and then, sad, negotiate, whatever. I almost want to say there's like 4 or 5 stages of learning a mental model. So the first one is you screw up, and you have no idea why you screwed up, and you're just confused. What the hell? Seizures? How can you get a seizure from this? Now I gotta go look at the thing. No, it's fine. You guys shouldn't be getting seizures. Yeah, we're good. You guys got me all paranoid. You guys shouldn't be getting seizures. No, it's good. You guys are killing me. Best time of day, Jim and Ryan. Thank you, sir. Get yours. Get yours, son. What was I going with? Oh, so you screw up. You don't know why you screwed up. You put all your like life out there, like, dude, here, and you latch on to anybody who'll tell you anything. That's the first step. Second step is you understand why it was a screw up, but you don't have the ability to do anything about it. So you screw up, you know you screwed up, you feel bad, and you're like, how do I stop screwing up? Third stage, you know you screwed up, and you're starting to get an awareness of when you're screwing up. And so you start screwing up, and then as you're screwing up, you shut the fuck up. That's it. You're just like, stop digging. If you're in a hole and the flood starts to fill you in, stop digging. Modern life dating. 24,000 Japanese yen. Thank you, sir. Free money. Oh, nothing's ever free, sir. This sucks because now I got to go to Japan and give you a handy to make up for it. But thank you very much. Thank you very much. MLD John in the house. Been super busy lately. I know. I don't think he's going to be able to do Rule Zero again this week. So give him some love. If you haven't seen his channel, it's actually blowing the F up right now. So it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. If you guys have ever been like on the fence, get in there. Okinawa. Do some Karate Kid stuff. Actually, it's funny. I've only ever been to Tokyo, so it'd be kind of nice to see some of the smaller. One of the things I wanted to see at one point is go to northern Japan, like the super rural areas. I've heard good things about it, but it's like not touristy at all. So you kind of almost have to bring like a translator or something. I'm looking forward to that, but we'll see. I'm actually able to travel again end of November. Long story. Canada sucks is the key point of it though. Anyways, so you're screwing up. You know you screwed up. As you're screwing up, you just shut up. You stop digging the hole. You stop making it worse for yourself. And then you're like, okay, I'm getting it. I'm starting to screw up. Then it gets to the point where you screw up and then you stop yourself as you screw up. And then you do what you're supposed to do. And then you get to the point where just as you're about to screw up, you stop yourself, take a beat, and then do what you should be doing. Until finally you get to the point where you just don't screw up anymore. That's ideally the goal. I mean, if you do make screw ups, you like fix it and recover really quickly. What do I mean by screw ups? Covert Contracts, a great example. Is it true MLD rates Naruto over Dragon Ball Z? Outrageous. Dude, I wouldn't even be able to tell you. I'm of the Astro Boy. Like that was my jam. I never watched Naruto. I've never watched a Dragon Ball Z. I remember occasionally catching really old episodes of like Ultraman and old episodes of Astro Boy. By the time Pokemon and Naruto and Dragon Ball Z came out, I had just aged out of like, this is awesome. Just aged out of there. It was my app. Oh, fair enough. MLD making Ryan a Japanese thousandaire. Well, if I'm not mistaken, what's the exchange rate on Japan yen? Is it 1,000 to 1 or 100 to 1? I wish I could remember. I binged 18 episodes of Naruto. I'm done with it. Fair enough. All right, yen to CAD. Oh, it's 5 to 1. That's crazy. All right, John, thank you very much, sir. I just did some math, and I'm like, oh, fair enough. Big money, big roller, love it. It took 2 seasons of screaming and bravado for Goku to beat Frieza. Okay, I can't turn this into a Dragon Ball episode, man. I can't do it, guys. I'm out. Let's do a quick change of pace here. Let's put some jugs on the screen. Where'd she go? There it is.
One of the guys who ran the Red Pill channel sent me a message. I actually appreciate that you took it from an idea-based perspective instead of ever resorting to personal attack. Like, if this movement is actually going to be dangerous, do we need to understand it so that we can take it down? I knew going into it that this might be a hot mess. I'm not going to have those guys back on my channel again. Absolutely not.
So, sexual diabetes. Oh no, not her. You know what's funny too? You guys can talk as much crap as you want about her. If you guys ever watched that podcast, it was like weird feminist drama. The chat was absolutely toxic. Not just her audience, but the audience that came with me and Rolo, absolutely toxic as well. But I guarantee you 99% of you guys would. I guarantee you. I think she's even got one of them curved spine things. But here's the point that makes me laugh. All these guys bitching about feminist this and angry that and SJW's this. So I'm like, you would, right? So all that doesn't really matter if she starts giving you a whiff, doesn't it? Like, I wouldn't. I'm happy. But a lot of you guys, I think deceptively more of you guys than you'll care to admit would. Because we're guys. We don't care about your personality. Maybe you won't wife her up. But I think she's already married, isn't she, to that little weirdo? Anyways, I'm not here to talk smack about her. I got no beef or no problems with her. I just absolutely love how she flipped that into like a we're an evil cult thing. It makes me laugh. Scoliosis, thank you very much. I just remember because one of the other red pill guys, S-Curve Much, he had the scoliosis, and he was a 5'4" doctor, lost all his hair, and he still managed to pull his shit together, get muscular, and he's sleeping with like 24-year-olds. Yeah. Ryan could single-handedly save America, but we have too much diabetes. Dude, all you gotta do in America is just stop eating. Stop eating. Like, here's the thing. My girl had to go on a work trip for a couple days down to Scotland. And I was like, when I get back, I usually do one of two things. When my girl leaves for a day or two, I'm like, either I get a bunch of beer and I sit down and I watch anime that I haven't watched in forever and have like that moment, eat a hot dog and have hot dogs with the dogs. Or I just do a fast and then like become a workaholic. And this time it was the fast and the workaholic. It wasn't on purpose. It was like an accident. I essentially went and did a 1 day fast. And then after the day, I was like, I'm not even hungry. Let's do 2. Then I did a 2 day fast, and I'm like, all right, now I'm kind of getting a little woozy, so I did 2 days. If I can do 2 days on accident, you guys can stop eating once every 5 meals. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I have a slight case of myself, so I can't. Well, that's good. So the bodies should then like align. It's like a Tetris piece, right? You guys fit together. Anyways, sexual diabetes. Let's get off of this goofy stuff. Let's talk about the actual topic. What is sexual diabetes? It is a term. It is a term that I coined when I realized that we, as human beings, are stupid. And I don't mean stupid as in like, you're stupid and I'm smart. I mean stupid as in we are built to be stupid in a highly effective way. I will admit that. Having said that, I really did waste that. I had like plain Jello to get off the fast, and I was like, man, what a waste of your initial break fast. Anyways, so sexual diabetes, instincts are ruining us. You know, a lot of guys love to ramble on about my legacy and I need to have the genetic this and the genetic that. It's like, look. I hate how I always bust your bubble. Allie always gets mad about that one too, where it's like, how come everything he says just ruins my fantasies? And I'm like, look, the only way you can move forward as a human being is first you have to stop lying to yourself. Look at the world through objective eyes. And then you can make better decisions based on what you're seeing with your eyes, not what you're seeing with your heart, you know? So in the case of the genetics, I use diabetes as an example. Instinct. As Neolithic caveman, Paleolithic caveman, hundreds of thousands of years ago, or 6,002 years ago, depending on who you follow, you found that you were like really, really craving simple carbohydrates, right? Like anything sugar. You chew on a sugar cane root. Oh, it's delicious. And that's because it gives you energy. And it gave you enough energy when you were starving to go hunt a buffalo to get a bunch of meat. Then you survive, make more cave babies. Continue that on for like 100,000 years. And then the people who had more cravings to carbohydrates survived and outlasted the ones that didn't crave them so much. So we end up having this genetic predisposition towards sugar, which was great back when you had to chew on 5 pounds of sugarcane for 20 minutes to get anything out of it. Unfortunately, now, after the Industrial Revolution, we are able to concentrate that. So we don't have to eat that. We just got sugar cubes lying all over there's literally nobody on the planet Earth who's more than 10 feet away from sugar at any point in their life. You could be on the toilet in your home, and you're like, dude, if I just get up, I could probably take 15 steps and then have a handful of sugar, you know? Problem is, the instincts don't know that. The instincts take generations, like generation after generation to get going. So, we still have this instinct for sugar, but we have a world that provides it so much that it's kind of out of whack. Another example, if you don't like the sugar example, is fish. Saltwater fish and freshwater fish can't mix for a good reason. Saltwater fish can filter salt through their bodies super efficiently. So when you put them in freshwater, they lose all the salt in their bodies too quickly, and then the pH gets all things and it kills them. Freshwater fish, same thing. They retain salt really well. So when you put them in salt water, it overdoses and kills them as well. But that's kind of where we're at now, where you were the saltwater fish, and now you're putting in the freshwater. And it's not just sugar. Anyways, to finish off the sugar one, though, the point is now this instinct, which used to be a survival trait that we selected for, is killing us. People are getting diabetes. And that's why I'm calling it sexual diabetes, because when it comes to men and women and sex and relationships, we have all these instincts that worked amazingly well when we were 150 people to a tribe in the middle of the African savannah. They worked great when we were small hunter-gatherer societies. They worked pretty well when we were an agricultural society and most people were farmers. They don't work so well post-industrial revolution because everything that we had acted on previously that depended on scarcity now depends on abundance. Now with sex, it's the same thing. If you're acting like you're in a tribe of 150 people, which means you have to, I got to make a girl my friend first. I got to make her like me, because the concern isn't just turning on that girl. It's that if that girl rejects you, you need to make sure she doesn't tell the whole tribe that you're a beta male, and so they end up leaving you out of the hunts and you die and starve by yourself, right? But when there's like 4 billion women around, and they all have Tinder, you start acting like that caveman, it's not going to do you any good. She's going to think you're an ass. That's great, but nobody knows who you are. Nobody knows who you are after that. So you're constantly going around acting like you're worried about this fictional tribe. And so you end up going home, jerking off in your living room, watching Naruto because you got nothing else to do. Nothing else to do. So, and it's not just that. It's like the idea of men and women being similar, the idea of treating them well and then they treat you well, the golden rule, all of these things taken together encompass a group of either social or genetic instincts. Memetics or genetics, doesn't matter which. That worked well in a previous time and era and environment that do not work well in this environment. And then by following them, they are literally killing men. Like every time MGTOW 42069 talks about that the guy who got divorce raped and lost half his stuff, and the woman took his kids, and she told all his family how he was abusive, and she Me Too'd him at his job, and then he self-deleted. Every time you hear one of those, I want you to look at that with the same look that you would look at a guy dying of diabetes. Yes, it's sad. Nobody likes to see somebody die. But at the same time, you couldn't have put the sugar down just the once. Same thing with the guys. You couldn't have stopped acting like a simp just long enough that you didn't have to end up in this position. And it's hard. I get it. It's hard. You're going to go against your instincts. And a lot of people are like, well, we can't go against our instincts. That's why they're instincts. Like, I beg to differ. It is not within your instincts to go stress your muscles at the gym. The gym is not a natural process. Going on a diet is not a natural process. The fact that you're able to do that shows me that you have the capabilities of overcoming your instincts. All you're missing is either the incentives or the awareness of long-term benefits after short-term pain, right? Wando, women didn't lie back in the day. He's beta. Oh, they absolutely did. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to make it like women used to be better, then the environment changed and now they're all hoes. No, women were always women. But again, women used to live in the age of scarcity too, where they had to make some hard choices about who to sleep with, and now they have options. And in the same way you're eating sugar all the time, girls are eating dick all the time. Why? Because they can. Because they can. There's no reason not to. They can do it, and there's no consequences for them to do it. Well, yeah, but they'll never settle down. Most of them will still. There is enough thirsty guys out there with money that a girl can unhappily settle down with a nice, comfortable provider, cheat on him, leave him at 50, and still go out there and play the field. And even if she doesn't nail the landing, there is enough examples out there of girls who successfully nail that landing that she will continue to try, thinking, I can do it. Of course I can do it. If you don't believe me, look at the lottery. How many guys play the lottery? Statistically speaking, none of you. All of you in this chat could go put $10,000 in the same lottery right now, today. And statistically speaking, you do that for a lifetime. Every week, none of you will win. But every single one of you in the heart of hearts, in his back of his mind, is like, yeah, but somebody's got to win. And that's what's happening. How dare you, sir? It's not in your instincts to self-delete either. Yeah, I mean, fair enough, Rob. It's almost like we have some kind of mental software on top of our mental hardware that allows us to overcome our instincts when we have sufficient incentive. And right now, I don't know how many of you guys have dry dick, how many of you guys are happily married, how many of you guys are unhappily married in lives of quiet desperation, but if you don't have the incentive, then you're living a good life. Because if you're not living the good life, as you define it, then there's your incentive right there. Did you ever think there's more to life than watching MGTOW 420, 69 shit on TikToks? Is there anything more in life than thinking my TikTok videos are the greatest part of my channel? There's more. I guarantee you there's more. Finding Ryan's channel's like winning the lottery. Thank you, sir. It's been 0 days since I was criminally undervalued. Yeah. And it comes out so many areas, sexual diabetes, like the idea of lifetime monogamy after marriage. And I know Allie and I kind of had a bit of back and forth. It wasn't an argument. It was just a disagreement. But to be fair, it's a weird disagreement to have where like both sides want the other side to be right. like Allie right now, she's doing the thing. Like she married an older man and they got together. They're getting married. She wants to do stay-at-home mom. He's giving her babies and all that. Like, and then he takes care of her and she takes care of him and everybody's happy and it all works well. That's the dream. That's the dream. I honestly want her to be right. I hope she's right. The jaded, cynical realist in me is kind of like, well, talk to me when the kids turn 5. But I want to be wrong. So, kudos to her. Follow her along on her journey. See how it works out. I think that's the other thing a lot of guys don't know about this is they always think red pill guys just want to be like Troy Francis. I just want to spin plates till I'm 55. And a lot of 20-year-old guys say that. Dude, I would love to just fuck it into my 60s and then die in a vagina like Samuel, or what's his name? Who's the preacher? He just died. Samuel something. Why am I drawing a blank on his damn name? Whatever. Geez, you think all these guys that I take a dunk on, I can remember it. How much shit does she take for the stay-at-home mom goal? She gets a lot. She gets a lot of shit. Kevin Samuels, thank you very much. Holy crap. He's only been gone for like 2 weeks, and I'm already like, I don't know who? Kevin Samuels. Yeah, so... But guys in their 20s, they don't know what they want. How do I know that? Because when I was in my 20s, I thought I knew what I wanted. Dude, queen and country, gung-ho for the queen, top sailor, travel the world, fight pirates. I was all for that. Fight pirates and slay poon. And then I turned 30. And I was just like, meh. Sat there staring ahead at this girl that, been together with her 13 years since. I was staring at her. We were hungover in the Vancouver Keys. Longsdale Key, I think they call it. And I had just flaked on a stripper to go hang with her at a bondage party. And they were sitting there having Caesars, typical Canadians. And I'm like, you know what? Let's try a relationship out. Here. I'm going to try dating you seriously. We're going to go on like a 90-day probation period. And then, whatever. At that point, we can both say no or we can both say yes. She's like, and she's hungover too. She's like, yeah, whatever. And I always joke, like, I never did finish that 90-day probation period. So I think it's like the longest 90-day probation period. But the point of the story is you don't know what you want in the future. I think looking more than 5-10 years in the future as to what you want is a fool's errand. It's never going to happen. Things change. Some of it's just people. People in their 20s are obviously stupid, risk takers. They love to do hardcore shit. They love to hustle. People in their 30s like money, like stability. People in their 40s, they start to get more, grandiose goals. Like a buddy of mine, he wants to become like the pillar of his community. Do the things like with his family, build a little small area. That's kind of nice. Yeah, this would be a great story to share with your kids, wouldn't it though? Honestly, like getting older, I think it's good. I hate when people lie to their kids that way. Like obviously don't tell a 6-year-old, that's when I plowed your mom. That's fucking weird. But where they lie, it's like, yeah, we were holding hands and then we watched some Disney movie and then we sat there and we're like, let's get married and go, and they go buy a stork from the stork store and like whatever. Playing Minecraft? Meh. Exploring caves? Yes. Yeah, wait until you turn 50. Yeah, and that's the thing. 50, you might want to go back to what you wanted at 20. Who knows? I have no expectations of wanting the same things I want now and in 10 years. Just kind of let that stuff go and you just And again, this is one of those things where everybody gives red pill crap, but it's like, it kind of steals a lot from Taoism. It really does. And there is this one concept where you can want something and you can go, but if you want something, do it 100%. If you want to hustle, hustle. If you want to slay poon, slay poon. If you want to sit here, call yourself a pickup artist that sleeps with 1,300 women, doesn't matter if they're man, woman, paid, or free, then go for it. Do your thing, sir. And then when you realize, like, I want to try something else, I don't want to do it anymore, just put it down. Let it go. It's okay. Yeah, it's like Ali's saying there, we're living in abundance. You live in a world right now where you're not obliged to do anything. The world doesn't need you anymore. At all. Slept with 1,500 goats. Yeah, exactly. If it's goats are your thing, go for it. Yeah, the problem is women open their mouths. Well, see, that's why another reason, Ali, I don't really have any expectations for girls at all. Because it's so easy to let them down. If I start having expectations for the girls on here, all they're going to do is let me down. Because I'll hold them to the same expectations I would hold myself to, or hold the guys that I spend time with and enjoy. And it's a fool's errand. You can't look at a girl and think, you know what would be great if she acted just like a man. Because there's some weird, and not that there's anything wrong with it, but there's some weird like homoerotic fetish with that, you know? It's like, I would love it if this chick was just like a dude, but I didn't have to feel gay when I slept with her. I don't know how to describe the dynamic there, but it's not healthy. I'm going to go on a limb right now and say it's not healthy. Wait a minute, is the guy wearing a Don't Eat Paint T-Rex shirt talking to us about psychological healthiness and like and spiritually being at peace with himself? Yes! I love that juxtaposition. I do it on purpose. Are we holding women accountable? Accountable to what? To what? Weimer Please absolutely nails it, by the way. Like, what account are you going to hold them to? What standards are you able to enforce? Not really any. None. That's kind of getting off topic for the sexual diabetes thing. So I guess the point I'm trying to make here, and I hope I'm making it right, is you have to understand that you don't have the power to change much. Doesn't matter how big and how important you are. Donald Trump's got 3 divorces, and he's the most powerful man on earth or whatever. He couldn't stop people from the FBI from coming to his house and, you know, giving one of his kids a rifle and telling him to go to school. I'm just saying, what chance do you have? So just accept it. There's so much in this world you have no power over. So you just start shrinking your world until it's something you have control over. And it turns out for 99.99999% of guys out there, the only thing you control is yourself and maybe your kids. Maybe. And so if you only try to control those things, everything else becomes an opt-in problem. And that's great. This is the part that's it's not an instinct. It's actually a very difficult concept. And I know when I'm talking about it now, it sounds very wishy-washy, like a Russell Brand, like, oh, no, yeah, no. Like, every day, my girl and I, we wake up. We look over at each other. Well, I look over at her. She's sleeping in. And then I make the decision to be with her one more day. And she wakes up finally, looks over at the same thing, look at me, decides to be with me one more day. We have no illusions that either one of us can walk out on the other one whenever we want. There's nothing stopping us. There's no law that can be passed. There's no consequences for it. Nothing. Yeah, Woods, Tiger, DiCaprio, Leonardo. We could bring up all the celebrities, but I kind of like keeping this like intimate, like keep it on real things. And it's both a freeing thing. At the same time, it's also a self-expectation thing. Please whine more. Yeah, so when everything becomes a choice and every problem becomes an opt-in problem, you become the person in control of your life. And I think that when guys talk about freedom, what we really mean is we don't want to have to do something. Freedom for us is the freedom from being like having somebody having authority over us. The more freedom we have to act, the better we are. For women, freedom is more of like a security thing. Again, men and women aren't different. And so when you realize, like, oh, do I want to have a girl with this person? Well, that's an opt-in problem. She decides to divorce you and take the kids. So do you want those kind of problems in your life potentially? Well, if you can handle it, if you can accept letting go, if you can accept worst case scenario being in the situation where your wife can take your kid, leave the state, call you an abuser, and then weaponize the kids against you, if you can accept that as a worst case scenario, Yeah, fine. Anything that happens above that is gravy. It's great. It's perfect. A lot of parents divorce. A lot of parents do it amicably. The kids are great. You know, everybody gets along just fine. It's just mom and dad don't live together and they sleep with other people. How is that different from a situation of an open relationship with a family? Well, it's honest. That's really the only difference. It's honest. And kids hate when you lie. Rain is the most basic based logic bomb in the red pill. Well, thank you, sir. You know what the trick is? The trick is to read the stuff in the red pill and then and then use it. Don't just listen to some marketing guy half-ass give you a Rollo article and then feed you a White Claw and tell you hold these bitches. Yeah. And yes, I shit on Fresh and Fit a lot, but it's only because they're the best example of everything I hate about this space that I love. You know? Rule 0, if I'm not mistaken, is John Fitch today. So that should be fun. I believe the topic was something fun too. Like, something about whammon. Hold on a sec, I gotta look it up. Madonnas and whores. Oh, that's going to be a fun one. That's going to be a fun one. Madonna and whore. The Madonna and whore complex. C19. What is C19? Are you talking about? Oh, you're talking about the virus. Yeah, the virus will kill a lot of things. Anyways, I need another little. Give me another joke. Who do you want to go with? Let's go with. Yeah.
Ian, what do? Not Ryan Stone. I think he's the most important guy in the world. Ryan Stone. Give a about Ryan Stone. Me and him have gone back and forth. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Ryan Stone does not pass the 6-foot test. He's not even a man. So I don't give a Ryan Stone.
I haven't started any beef in a while. I got to get some more of these. Like, I've only got about 10 right now. And I feel like I've been using them every cast. And they're going to get old soon. I need to get some other feminists to get mad and ramble on a stream over me. Ron Strone does Navy. What the hell are you doing? Yeah, maybe it'll be another John and Ryan only. I'm happy you guys enjoyed that one. I do like. They don't happen often, but when you get a Rule 0 that's only like 2-3 guys at most, they always take on a totally different vibe, and I prefer them myself that way. But all of a sudden, Tristan's appearing on the videos. Is that Tristan or was that Andrew? I always get the two mixed up. Twop G. This one is Why You're Lost. I like this one. And so, like, first off, I'm going to preface this. I don't like Ayn Rand at all. It's not because I don't like the what's that philosophy they talk about on it? I don't know, whatever her philosophy thing is. It's not about that. It's just I tried to read like a sample of her Atlas Shrugged, and I found the writing was horrible. I didn't like it as a book to read. I also don't like the fact that she was preaching this one thing and then she lived her life exactly the opposite way. Having said that, somebody did bring up an example first. It was a pretty good point. So I'm going to start off with a quote. This is going to be in the book. This was her speaking to the graduating class of the United States Military Academy at West Point in New York in 1974. Okay, Tristan has hair and an IQ of 87. He's the blunt force object brother. Oh, so Tristan's that one, and then Andrew is the one who's like, talks like Ric Flair. Got it. Bald Ric Flair. Anyway, so the quote, and this one, I'm stealing this from, I can't remember who wrote the original one. Was it Chesty? Do you remember who wrote Why You're Lost? It wasn't Huey McGill. Might have been Skortzang, Autocrator. Anyways, whatever. So men spend their days struggling to evade 3 questions. The answers to which underline every man's thought, feeling, and action. Whether he is consciously aware of it or not, the questions are, where am I? How do I know it? What should I do? And by the time they're old enough to understand these questions, men believe that they know the answers. You know, where am I? Say, New York City. How do I know it? It's self-evident. What should I do? And here's where guys aren't so sure. Because the usual answer is, whatever everybody else is doing. The only trouble seems to be that they're not very active, not very confident, not very happy, and they experience, at times, a causeless fear and an undefined guilt which they cannot explain nor get rid of. They have never discovered the fact that trouble comes from the 3 unanswered questions and that there is only one science that can answer them: philosophy. Which, whatever. But it's interesting because it's like, this was 50 years ago. Yeah, 74. So 50 years ago. Sorcerer King, thank you very much. 50 years ago. And this reads like it could have been a TikTok from 2022. Think about that. Nobody knows my problems. No, they are. They're all about the same. Like one of these days, I'm going to read Mark Twain's What is Man? A collection of essays. It's Gutenberg, so I think I can get away with that. It's like my own little YouTube audiobook for it. And it's hilarious because Twain was what? The 1870s, somewhere around there. Actually, what's Twain? When's Twain's life? No, not Shania Twain. Dude, I type in Twain. I want Mark, not Shania. All right, I have to really... Maybe I should have called him Samuel Clemens. There we go. 1835 to 1910. So this would have been like the 1850s to 1870s. Ayn Rand, how would you open? Come to me to my Epstein. She'd basically... Isn't she the reason that she wrote about Epstein Island when all the productive people went to their own little world? And just nobody expected there as much child diddling as there was. But it got you Windows. You got Microsoft Windows out of it. And a $5 billion deal to buy Minecraft. So, I mean, like, thank you, children, for your sacrifice. Shania Twain is the most... Wait! No! We're off topic now. Shania Twain. There's no way. What? Okay, the keywords are coming up. I'm not going to click it now, but there's no way that's real. There's no way. That don't impress me much. Sucks, though. She caught that Lyme disease from the ticks, and it killed her voice until Lionel Richie brought her back from the dead, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, so Why You're Lost. You see this? So back to the Twain book. Yeah, you read the Twain book, and it's exactly the same thing. Guys who are aimless, they don't know what to do with their lives, they're in their 20s, they can't find a woman, they can't settle down. It's exactly the same issues that guys are talking about today that, you know, Tinder ruined our women. And these guys are like, those absinthe bars ruining our women. Ryan is that cool college professor we can distract during a hard lecture. Yeah, the college professor. You guys forget, though, I did used to be a teacher. I've done many things in my life, so... When I was in high school and college, I used to teach swimming lessons. And in the military, one of my probably favorite postings was being an instructor at Fleet School. So I've been a teacher, like, off and on throughout my career. Heck, even the book behind, like this book right here, that one right there, is actually the adult teaching manual for the Canadian Forces. I keep that around. It's one of the ones I was kind of proud of. So it's one of the few military accoutrements that I still enjoy. What am I looking at here? There's many leather-bound books, yeah. Oh, right, the Why You're Lost. So yeah, it's the same problems. Guys have had all the same problems, which again, it gives me a level of comfort. Every guy in his 20s is worried about his place in the world. Every guy in his 30s is worried about having a family and having some financial security. Everybody in his 40s is worried about his kids being raised right. Every guy in his 50s is worried about, now that I've done all that stuff in my life and I've conquered all those things I wanted to conquer, what do I do now? Maybe I'm going to turn into a degenerate. Guys are deceptively similar and the same about what they want. I'm wearing the old merch shirt. This one is discontinued now. This is Don't Eat Paint. The T-Rex Army. These ones no longer up for sale. They went out of style. And the new one, Red Morning, is in. I was going to wear it today, but it didn't arrive until way too late this morning. So. All right, I need a quick break here.
I love the way girls smell. I love how they always make sure, by and large, they shower. And they just have an amazing smell to them in general.
And I know this is meta. There's not a lot of actionable stuff in here, but honestly, I'm tired. I'm tired of talking to guys and having them argue with me the whole way. This is why I don't do consultants work anymore. There's occasionally some guys that I really like that come to me, ask a question. Usually they're either content creators or blue checks on like bigger people. You'd actually be surprised. I was very proud the first day that I saw somebody that I knew from like not this space, like TV. Like, dude, I used to watch you on TV. He's like, yeah, I'm having this problem. I'm like, all right, let's talk. It's cool. I'm like, I figured the guy entertained me for like, years in my youth. The least I could do. But it's the same problem. And most of the time you get to the point where they argue with you the whole time. You're explaining this stuff and they understand it because, like you said, you tell them what's going to happen and what they should do, and they don't do it. And then what you said was going to happen is going to happen, and you get it. And I'm realizing Carl Sagan really had a point. Like, in order to bake this cake, you pretty much have to create the universe. And this is why... Yeah, waiting trial out on bond. And this is why I've actually made it, like, one of the first sections in the book is the Carl Sagan line. In order to create a cake, first you have to... Or in order to bake a cake, first you have to create the universe. And that's why I'm rambling so much about this random shit here. Oh, I wish Drake. Dude, I wish Drake. The difference is I don't really like Drake. He had one song that I kind of liked. That's way back in the day, but I don't listen to any of his shit. I never even watched him back when he was on Degrassi Junior High or any of that stuff. It's like, eh. I was more of a fan of like Ryan Reynolds and what's her face? Who's the singer? They were on You Can't Do That on Television. The grunge chick from the 90s. I don't remember her name. Anyways. Because Ryan Norris... Yeah, you guys got to tell me what the hell that inner child is thing, 'cause I've never heard of it. Anyways. So I realize, if you want a guy to make better choices when it comes to his relationships, or with his sex life, or with his, self-improvement journey, whatever the hell, is you kind of have to get the way he frames the situations in his life proper. No, not Avril Lavigne, but that same generation. Not Alyssa Milano. Justin Trudeau wants Ryan's climate. He is the first head of state that was a former pickup artist, by the way. Having said that, his routines were just ridiculous. Like, he used to fall down the stairs to get a girl to come over to him. And I'm like, I mean, do what you do. Alanis Morissette, thank you very much. That's the one. Where was I going with this one? Oh, yeah. So you realize, like, if you want a guy not to act thirsty, you got to get him to at least approach this stuff from his perspective and not the girl's perspective. Like, and I know it seems very weird, but just to have a guy talk to you about his life from his own perspective, like make him the protagonist in his own biographic stories, is a huge hurdle to overcome. Huge hurdle. So a lot of guys are lost. Like, you think of those, what are those 3 questions again? Let me get back. Where are you? How do you know that? And what do you want? Guys can always say where they are because they just got to look around, right? Guys can always say how do they know that because they can look around. And then you ask guys what they want and they don't look around. What do? They look at what the other people are doing. And, most guys don't have really good friends. Most guys don't have good peer groups. Most spaces aren't men's spaces. They're, co-ed spaces or basically female spaces. Stop reading Rand. I'm falling asleep. I haven't read Rand. I read like a bit from like a quote from a speech. Relax. I like Rand as much as you do. But in this case, it's a good point. So what do guys do when they don't know what they want? They just defer to somebody else who seems more confident than them. And unfortunately, because everything you're told is how great and confident women are, everybody's deferring to women. And women don't know. Like, I know I'm talking how much men are trash and men are stupid. We're following stupid instincts. We're killing ourselves with our own stupid ideas. And it's like, but everybody always infers from that, well, he hasn't said one crappy thing about women. Women must be great in his eyes. What a feminist. And I'm like, no. Women are just as messed as guys, if not more so. But the difference is, I'm not talking to them. I don't care. I have no expectations. There's 5 billion women on Earth, and all but like maybe 4 of them, I could care less if they fell off a cliff tomorrow. The ones that I do care about are the ones that are in my life, the ones that provide value to me, and that the ones that I've made a commitment to as a choice every morning. There's my girl over there in the room. There's my, my mom, my sisters, my brother's wifey girl. I don't know what they call each other. I think she's common law too. Same thing as me. He's not getting married, but they got a good family. They're going on. Outside of those girls, everybody else can go fuck themselves. And it's not that I hate them. I just don't know them. And I'm not about to go sacrificing myself when I got a bunch of people that are really good to me in my life that would deserve that treatment much more before they do. I was an MCIWS instructor. Does that make me a teacher too? Probably. What's MCIWS? Can a guy be self-obsessed but not their own mental point of origin? Well, yeah, obviously. What are you obsessed over? Is it obsessed about getting something for you, or is it obsessed about somebody else? If you're trying to wear some chick as a skin suit and stalking her, you can be obsessed. But self-obsessed to the mental point of origin is just a simple concept. Honestly, it just means that you're always aware of your own place in your actions and decisions and your mental framework. That's it. You know, talking to a girl, she does some stuff, and you always think, does this affect me well? Is this what I want? Me. Honestly, mental point of origin is selfishness with self-awareness combined. I think that's the easiest way to describe it. Excuse me. AJ's pathology is driven by his scared inner child. All right, Megan, look. You got to walk me through. Are you talking about Cortez, by the way? Which, hilarious. Secondly, what the hell is an inner child? Like, you keep using this term and you keep throwing it out. It's starting to get on my nerves. It's like, I don't know what you mean. T-Rex Army is my Project Mayhem, except for I don't want anything from you. Not a skin suit, just a skin hat, maybe some socks. All right, now you guys are just fucking with me. So yeah, just remember. And it's not an easy question. And you know what? There's no answer. There's no final answer to this either. It's like I just said. When you're in your 20s, you want different things than your 30s, than your 40s, than your 50s. Oh, okay. Marine Corps instructor, water survival. Basically, as long as you have lesson plan. If you have a lesson plan, I would consider you a teacher. If you got paid to teach that lesson plan, then you're a professional teacher. All right. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It will be nice to know. Although I heard rumors that AJ's going to be a dad, so good for him. Somebody else can sit there and be like, treat him as an insufferable person. Is the inner child a turd? I mean, I guess it could be. Yeah, I don't know. Being upset, like, there's nothing wrong with being obsessed. The trick is the consequences of that self-obsession. I think that's another hard point to get through, and this is a little off topic, but I think it's important. It's that you can be self-obsessed about anything. You know, want to dress perfectly, want to have the perfect body, want to have like more money, want to hustle, you want to self-obsess about learning pickup, you want to self-obsess about your wife, like be the best husband, raise your kids, all that stuff. There's no problems with it per se, but, and this is the big but, when you're self-obsessed about achieving a certain thing, other things get left by the wayside. Things get ignored, things get dropped. The consequences of ruining one thing at the expense of succeeding slightly more in the other thing. Like, there's opportunity costs. And this is why I say your mental point of origin has a self-awareness aspect, because you have to make... It doesn't mean you have to be obsessed about something, but it says if you are obsessed about something, you understand the costs surrounding it, and that you're willing to accept those. Yeah, the reason and the target and the approval for the obsession. Absolutely. Like, I don't know, I hate doing the thing where it's like, oh, this, for example, but yeah, for example, you want to hyper-focus on being the greatest pickup artist ever, and you want to be able to say, I've slept with 1,300 women, 5 trans dudes, and a bunch of, like, I don't even care. If it's got a hole, I'll fuck it. And you want to be that guy, and then you end up drunk at a Denny's because you're burning out on it, and you can't possibly meet these expectations that you're self-obsessed about because you forgot to develop skills outside of that obsession, which will increase your odds of sleeping with 1,300 people, folks. Yeah, in that case, a self-obsession, obviously not bad. But on the other hand, you can be, Wilt Chamberlain? Wasn't that his thing? He slept with like 20,000 women. And, you know, over what, like a 10-year career? It's like 3,000 days. It's a little bit high. Or was it a 2,000? I don't remember what the number was. But like, if you do the numbers, the math, he went to go be the best basketball guy ever. And girls being thrown at him. Obviously, he's going to build a big notch count. He's just obsessed with Poon as stupid idiot pickup artist is. But his obsession was a much healthier one because he built an awesome basketball career from it. Assuming he's making it up too. Wilt Chamberlain. Thank you. 10,000. So I don't know. 10-year career. 35, like almost 4,000 days. It's like 3 girls a day, which means he's probably more than likely not, because you have to have a basketball career. So he made it up. But even if it's like, dude, if you had a notch count of, let's even put that, so what is it? 3,650 days. Let's say half of that, 1,500 women. That's on average a girl every 2 days. That's still impressive as hell, and that's obsessive. But it's not the sole purpose of his obsession. And he He still managed to throw good hook shots. You know what I mean? Maybe one of the greatest athletes ever. You know what? I can take that one of two different ways. But yeah, don't worry about obsessions. Just be willing to let it go if it's no longer suiting your needs. Again, sometimes you have to make a choice. Sometimes there is actually a girl who's great and invested in you, but because you're so self-obsessed with career or whatever, you'll lose her. What's more important to you? Do you have an answer? I hope you have an answer. That's that third question. What do you want? If you don't know what you want, then you're not going to make a good answer. All you're going to do is what is providing me the best dopamine hit. And if you're getting those promotions at work and it feels good, you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this. But like, what are you using the money for? All that money and all that fame? I'm just spending it on coke because I don't need the money. All right, well then, I don't know. Did you need the wife? Well, I kind of miss having the wife. I liked having her around. Well, did you ever consider pulling it back to only 80 hours a week? So maybe you can have a wife and a life. You're like, oh, I never thought about that. It's like, yeah, you never did. Never thought about what do you want. It's one of the three questions, man. It's just the way things work. If you don't pay attention to what you're doing, you'll never know where you're going. Olympic sport, fucking Jesus. Problem is a lot of guys don't know they're doing that because they don't think about it. And that's the problem, is you have to have some kind of self-reflection, self-awareness. Be willing to make mistakes, not to beat yourself up over it. Realize that you can want something one day and then tomorrow want something else and completely forget about the first thing and be okay with that. Like, yeah, oh, I get it. You're only going to have a vague idea what you want. When I was 16, I wanted to be a video game tester for a living. Like, I didn't fucking know. Do you think I would want to be a video game tester now? I see the lives they live. No, I'm not sleeping at the office just because I got the new Mario game. Fuck that. But you know, like, whatever. Back then I wanted it, and then I didn't want it anymore. I wanted to go to university, and I went to university, and I wanted to be a graphic designer, and I did that. Then I realized I don't like this. I'm going to join the military, and I did that. And then I left the military, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go work corporate. Wear a suit every day to work. Earn that 6-figure salary. And I went and I did that. And every single one of those things I absolutely was obsessed with wanting. And then I got it, and then I enjoyed my time, and then my time was over, and then I wanted something else, and you move on with no regrets. That's how this works, man. What do you want? It's a living document. It's not tablets coming down off the mont. And once you can be okay with that level of change, you don't want to end up with, like, what does Rolo call it? The prodigal son thing, like where Roosh V. You guys remember Roosh? How he was like, pickup artist. Here's banging in Ukraine, banging in Russia, and banging in Poland. And everything you want to know. Sleep with unlimited women. Then he got a girlfriend for 5 years, and then she just up and left him. And then his sister died, and then he's like, I'm going to find Orthodox Jesus, and I'm going to hold these bitches accountable. And he burns all his old books. He's like, I hate that life. That life is embarrassing. It's like, dude, it's okay to want something different with your life without being embarrassed by your past. You don't have to get rid of it. You can say, I did that, had my fun, and now I'm moving on. And that's all you have to do. You don't have to, or Goldman's another good one. Goldman Unleashed. Photo pickup. Worked in New York. And now all of a sudden he's like, I'm going to travel the world and do drugs and find my inner peace. And he starts burning. He literally burned his books in a campfire on an Instagram post. And I'm so cynical and jaded. I'm like, dude, from a marketing perspective, that's a great way to ingratiate yourself into like the Christian trad community. Look at that. Even the evil pickup artist that slept with all those beautiful women, he decides that my life is better. That's great. And they accept him with open arms because he helps them believe in their lie too. Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Roosh? Yes, I did, sir. Yes, I did. He cheated death. How could he do that? Not with the power of Rollo Tomasi. Fucking guys. Yeah, join us. Yeah, fuck us. We're ridiculous. Why would you guys... Red Pill is a cult. Really? It's the worst cult I've ever seen. There's no benefit to it. Nobody in the Red Pill is getting chicks. Nobody. Who was the best one getting chicks? Jack Murphy. Sorta. And they cast him. They cast him out. Most of the guys have a girlfriend talking about how bitches ain't shit, me included. So it's like, yeah. The only difference is I'm not telling you, like, bitches ain't shit, but I kind of have a laugh about it. I'm like, yeah, but, I mean, they were always like that. Nothing's changed. And everybody else is like, dude, it's not like it used to be back when I was dating and this was exactly the same. It's totally different because now they're hoes with a new app on their phone. Their new app on their newest phone. Back in my day, everybody had a Windows phone with the stylus and OkCupid. Now these bitches have Tinder and Bumble. There's 2 apps, and their phones don't have stylus anymore. It's a touchscreen and it's a big phone. World's going to shit. we don't have a compound. Nobody's selling their house to come join us at the compound. The FBI is not planting honeypots in there. No free Kool-Aid. The leader of the cults don't even get to sleep with all the women. And of all the women that are there, so many of them are unattractive anyway. Fuck all this space, man. All right, give me the short-haired one.
We know these videos really prey on vulnerable young men who have not had many experiences in dating.
My favorite part about her, if you guys don't know, that's Emily Stone, I think is her name. And she was all about hated MLM campaigns, and then found one of the Rich Cooper's video of his one talking about, dude, even if you don't know pickup, guys who are good with women kind of know pickup. Like, he would talk about when he was going on dates, Rich had like the zombie apocalypse thing, which is like, it's no different than the Cube. He'd ask a girl, like, you know, if we were in a zombie apocalypse, and you're with me in the zombie apocalypse, what would you be doing? And he's like, and you hear the answer, and like, if she's not saying I'd be loading up magazines while you're shooting zombies and that, and he's like, she's not the one. It doesn't really matter. It's like not a real situation. You don't want a girl to actually be loading ammo for you during a zombie apocalypse. Zombie apocalypse is never going to come. It's just it's a hypothetical question to kind of springboard a conversation, to make everybody have some fun and to learn something about the other person. Same as the Cube. The Cube is a series of personality questions masked as like a story and magic. Scientific magic. I can learn so much about you with just these tips and tricks. But you're not learning anything. You're just asking them questions in a subtextual way, which girls find attractive because that's how they speak. It's the same way as like, man, imagine if I was on a date and a girl just put cleavage on my face the entire date. That would be awesome. And it would be awesome. It is awesome. But that's the point. The girl has to kind of know the game, but never show you nip. It's always just hinting at it. Big teasing the whole time. It's like awesome. Brett the Bachelor, $10 super chat. Thank you very much, sir. That's two cuck articles worth of super chat. So sexual diabetes is the problem. Sexual stoicism is the best mental model, or is that just gay? Well, there's no one solution. Like, I don't want to say sexual stoicism. It's just understand your instincts, why they're there, what purpose they used to solve, and is that purpose still applicable today? Is essentially it. Some things absolutely applicable. Not acting civilized and polite because it helps keep the social lubricant going. Absolutely good. Standard caveman instinct we've had. Understanding danger. That stuff's pretty useful to have. In the case of like sexual stoicism, just always have that self-awareness to think, my instincts here, are they serving my needs or are they not serving my needs? And if they're not, you have to make a conscious decision to act against them. Yeah, see, I agree with Chesty here too. It's all too binary. Up, down, all, none. People don't normally live in that environment. And that's where I like the medium is the message. So remember how I was telling you guys before how everything is like in a cycle. It's always the same. It's like you said, every 3-4 years, just go through the whole thing. Well, back in the day, there was a media landscape change. Television had come through the air. And people were being exposed to all kinds of things they had never been done before. And this University of Toronto professor came out with a seminal speech called The Medium is the Message. And everybody was angry at him for it, but it started to get a lot of young men thinking about their lives and thinking about things and improving themselves. And I'm not talking about Jordan Peterson. I'm talking about Marshall McLuhan. Or McLuhan? I can never pronounce it. I'm not good with the Scottish stuff. Medium is the message. Video killed the radio star. Exactly. Video killed the radio star was the Generation X version of what's that guy's that killed a generation of women. Hold on a second here. Scott Pilgrim killed a generation of women. Video killed the radio star is the Gen X version of that song. He really was a visionary. So yeah, medium is the message, and a lot of guys kind of don't catch this one either because they're too busy looking. And like Bruce Lee talked about this in the 70s. Do you remember his whole thing in Enter the Dragon where he's talking to the kid and teaching him? He was like expressing his little philosophy there. He was like, it is like a finger pointing towards the moon. And then the kid's staring at the finger and he cuffs him upside the head because, it's the 70s. That's what you do. Don't stare at the finger or you're going to miss all that heavenly glory. And that's what we're getting here with the medium is the message, essentially. Understand that the context that communication occurs on often tells you more than the communication. Good example, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. Well, that sounds like she still loves me, and so I got a chance, but she just doesn't want to have sex with me. And so you're like, I could fix that. I'll work out to win her back, and I'll wear leather and buy a truck and truck nuts, masculinity. Yeah. No, fuck. What that means is I don't want you to turn me into a skin suit out of some murderous rage, but I want to leave you, and I'm hoping if I act shitty enough, you'll leave me so I don't have to be at fault here. Most of the time, it's over. There was actually, and I know a lot of the old married red pill guys, they like to give this character on there, one of the mods called Horns of Apathy. I think it was Horns. Or was it 3 Stages Lucky? I think it was Horns. They give him a lot of crap because he's pretty bombastic, and that's fine, whatever. But he was bang on there. Like, when you hear this stuff, and you get to that moment of crisis, and you type online, like, why she gave me that speech, what do I do? Or why won't my wife fuck me? And then they come up with, like, a Chesty article, or a me article, or they fall into the Rollo Rich, or the Rich Rollo Ryan pipeline, or whatever way they get to this point here. Just understand, medium is the message. And he brought up like 20 examples over the past, his 2-year first tenure here, of guys saying, I got the I love you, but I'm not in love with you speech. And then he followed these guys for like 2 years. 90% of them, the girl was cheating, was about to cheat, or just left. A lot of the guys left. I think maybe 2 out of all of them. I think only 1 stuck around with his wife. She wasn't cheating on him, and things got better. 1 out of 20. That's 5%. That's nothing. Nothing. So a lot of this time when these guys are hearing this very clear, like to me it sounds clear and unambiguous. I love you, but I'm not in love with you, says I want a divorce, but I want you to initiate. Like typical, man. Why don't girls initiate more? They just don't. She doesn't initiate sleeping with you. She doesn't initiate leaving with you. You have to be in charge. And I don't know what else to tell you. They seem to want it. You seem to want it. The only one who doesn't want it is that stupid feminist channel on YouTube that says, no, you must let her. All right, fair enough. Do what you do, sir. And so it was a nice cold bucket of water because a lot of the guys that were coming there were like the TradCon, I Can Fix Her, White Knight. And yeah, married guys do that same simpy shit that the single guys do, where it's like, I met this chick. She's a drug addict. She's covered in tattoos. Hair's cut short. What's the other things that AJ says? They don't cook. And they're in debt. But I can fix her. If I just do the right tips and tricks, then she'll love me and marry me and we'll have kids and she'll be grateful. And you're like, that's a covert contract. It's very easy to look at a single guy and going, dude, you need to walk the fuck away. But you get some married guy. He's been married 15 years. Maybe he's got a kid. Maybe he's got 2 kids. Maybe he's even got 3 kids because the only time he gets laid is when she's feeling the itch to have another one that they can't take care of properly, right? And he would do some weird, like a lot of the guys did some weird shit. So there's this, the hell is the stuff called? There was a phase in the red pill where a lot of guys were looking into anxious avoidant personality types. There's like, actually, you know what? I gotta type this into Google. I want to make sure I get the terminology right. I don't want to lead you guys astray. Anxious avoidant. Attachment styles. That's the one. Of course Mark Manson talks about it. Why wouldn't he talk about it? He's all about this feel-good shit. So there we go. 4 styles of attachment. Secure attachment, anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, anxious avoidant. Dude, he's horrible at explaining this stuff. Ah, there we go. Dude, just, fearful avoidant, anxious avoidant, you know what? Fuck the terms. I don't even care. It's such a bullshit thing anyway. But just by typing in the term, all you see on YouTube is how to fix an anxious avoidant relationship, how to fix a fearful avoidant attachment style, how to fix this, how to fix that. But yeah, all the avoidant attachment styles. And the theory is that, like, as a kid, you kind of develop one. It's partially genetic, partially nature, partially nurture. If you ever see, like, you ever walk families with kids and you walk up and they're like, hey, this is Jimmy. And you're like, hey, Jimmy. And then he hides behind mom's skirt. That's like an anxious or fearful avoidant, abandonment, shit like that. And the comfortable avoidant is the kids who just walk up to you and automatically love you and stuff like that. And so a lot of guys were noticing, my wife has a lot of these traits too. And it just didn't work. Like, the medium is the message. You got a girl who's like horrible. She doesn't love you. She's kind of broken in some way psychologically, which, whatever. Everybody has their problems. I get it. But medium is the message. What steps is she taking to get out of that state? And this is what guys really miss. Like, is she making any attempt? Is she going to see a therapist because she knows she's not supposed to be like that? She wants to be a better wife to you. So maybe she's taking drugs, like whatever. Like, what steps is she taking? Well, none really. And then mostly it boils down to guys becoming like enablers. You know, like drug dealers, how people are addicted to drugs and then other people kind of like cover for them and hide for them and buy drugs so they know where they're coming from and shit. They're just enabling the addiction. They don't let the other person hit rock bottom. And same thing with anxious avoidant. It's like they don't want to change. They may not act like they like it, but they haven't changed. Yeah, it's at least studied and observed thousands of times. Absolutely. And I remember this because, oh, do I want to name and shame on this one? You know what? Fuck it. Nobody knows who he is. The Better Beta's Divorce Guide. Probably one of my favorite legal strategy posts from All the Red Pill about how to deal with divorce properly. Which, funny enough, to be a big part of it, if you want to have custody of your kids, act like a proper engaged father, hidden away amongst how to avoid the domestic violence charge. Pretty awesome stuff. Anyways, so when he first started, he was like, oh, the anxious avoidant wife. So he made this big, long experiment where he was trying to desensitize his wife towards his touch. And I was like, what the and all of us kind of looked at it the same way. Like, it was very well thought out. It was very in depth. There was like a systematic thing to it. If you would have read it without any underlying knowledge or context of like male and female things, you'd be like, dude, this is awesome. This could work. This could fix my marriage. But then anybody who actually gets it looks at it, it's like, dude, why are you doing this? Like, why are you basically becoming an enabler to somebody who wants to be a broken person? Yeah, Spreadsheet Guy. Spreadsheet Guy, another great example, made a spreadsheet every time his wife turned him down for sex and the reason. And some of the reasons, absolutely hilarious. Like, oh, the new episode of Friends was on, or no, it was like a rerun. Yeah, it was like a rerun of her favorite episode of Friends or something like that. And I was just like, and I guess finally at one point she turned him down for sex, then went on like a 5-day business trip, and he just sent the list to her. At a like, and everybody got mad. This guy's such a misogynist. I can't believe every time you said no to sex, he's not entitled to this, that, and the other thing. And finally, some reasonable guy's like, do you really think this guy sent this with the expectation that he would change her mind? Like, this is pure frustrated desperation. That he basically sent her an itemized list of every rejection she had given him over the last like couple years. Dude. And it's an extreme example, but other guys give this stuff all the time. And the anxious avoidant one was absolutely that. And a lot of guys were like, I can fix her. I can fix her. It's like, why do you want to fix her? Well, it's because he's my wife and we have this family. It's like, he plays to all these obligations, all this like Jordan Peterson-esque, like men want responsibility. And to be fair, I think he's not wrong. Men want the responsibility. That's why they try to fix women, because it makes it feel like they have a purpose in life. My purpose is to elevate God. And in their case, their god is the woman of Wulladorf, the fertility goddess. And it's just ridiculous. And I know this sounds cold, and it sounds evil, and it sounds wrong. But here, the medium is the message. You have somebody that's chosen to act in a way that creates a sexual separation between you guys. She created a dead bedroom. She built up a whole lot of, not my fault, psychological disorders and addictions to get there. Whether they're true or imagined, it's irrelevant. For all intents and purposes, the actions are identical either way. So it doesn't even matter if she's making it up or she's doing it on purpose or she's not. But what's the medium? Medium is she's making zero effort to fix that. It's kind of like guys like, my girl never sleeps with me during Shark Week. Really? Does her mouth have Shark Week? Does her hand have Shark Week? Is she doing anything, or is she just ignoring you during it? Shower's always there. You can always bring some towels. No, it's just that. It's like, well, yeah, medium is the message. There's actually there was this chick, I can't remember what her name was, but I always know her article. It's like real remorse or genuine imitation, or genuine remorse or real imitation Naugahyde divorce. Or remorse, sorry. It was a great article too, because for a lot of guys, a girl will like flat out say one thing and then do something else. Like maybe she cheats on him, maybe she spends money she shouldn't have spent, something horrible that is definitely deserving of like an apology and recompense. And guys want to think the best of their women. Why would you not? It's about that time. Pivot. Yeah. The Mark Manson pivot. Is that my next thing? I mean, technically my next book is about mental models, so it kind of is, but at the same time, like, I don't want to be a dork about it. Oh, yeah, the remorse. So, yeah, she cheated on you. Oh, it was just one time. I feel so bad and whatever. And I used to have guys all the time. It's like, all right, what do? I want to take her back. She says she feels bad and she wants to take me back. Like, how do I fix this? And I'm like, really? He goes, what do you mean? Like, you really want to fix this? What do you mean? She basically crossed your only, as far as I can tell, your only hard do not ever cross boundary. And you're now talking about how to stop enforcing it. And at first I would say that, and the guys would just argue with me and it would go nowhere. And I'm like, all right, this is clearly not teaching. And so that's where I use this thing. I'm like, okay, apply the medium is the message here. Here's a checklist of things to look for. Is she actually sorry she wronged you? Or is she sorry she got caught? First thing, is there humility? Like, does she accept, like, I screwed up. I don't have a leg to stand on here. There's no excuses. And it's up to you whether you want to forgive me or not, but I got to do it on your timeline because that's the only way it works. Or is she like, look, just get over it? And a lot of guys look at that. They're like, yeah. She was kind of giving me shit for giving her so much grief about it. Like, all right, fair enough. Here's another question. What did you suggest? She probably blamed it on, like, oh, it's because my dad touched me back, or some excuse, right? You're like, all right. Here's my question then. One of your requirements to take her back was probably, go see a marriage counselor, go see a therapist. A lot of guys are like, go see a therapist, get these problems sorted out, and I'll take you back. How much work is she doing? How much does she initiate? Is she booking those appointments? Are you booking them for her? Do you have to drive her to the event? Does she miss the thing? Does she not practice what she learns in there? How invested is she in letting you know she's truly remorseful about what she's done? And I would say 99% of the time, and I'm only not saying 100 because theoretically it's possible, but I have never seen it. Any girl, when they've done something and crossed that line to show true remorse to the point where they actually take actions to fix the problem in a way that makes the other person feel good about it. You never see that. And there's a couple other things. You eventually get through the whole medium as the message idea. Okay, she said she's sorry, but do her actions line up with that? Is everything surrounding the remorse sincere? The stuff that requires real investment? Or is it just the mouth words? And this is one of the reasons I actually kind of enjoy this, because for a guy who gets it, and I'd say it's maybe 1 in 5 who get it, they kind of get through this checklist, they take a look, and they're like, oh, okay, so actually she keeps blaming me for the problem. She's not really taking any initiative into fixing things. She's like, she wants it to happen now because she has things she wants to get done. You're getting real pushy about this, and you're like, I don't think she feels bad at all. I mean, she may say she does, and she cries, but none of the stuff that matters seems to change. I'm like, now that you know the medium is the message, now that you know that, what are you thinking? And my favorite example is the surgeon, military surgeon guy. He's like, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. And he went and slayed everything. He just slept with everything that was hot that could walk. And he's like, dude, I'm in my mid-40s, and I've slept with more 20-year-olds than I have in 20 years. And it's funny, and it was good for him, too, because for the divorce, the wife was obviously a big earner, so there wasn't that huge divorce rape situation there. But I'm like, the only thing got to be worried about is that when things with her and her new boyfriend go south, all of a sudden it's going to be a more acrimonious divorce. So you kind of want them to be together until the paperwork is signed. And sure enough, she was with him the whole time until the paperwork was signed. And I guess, but then he'd tell me every now and again, oh, dude, she's having problems with the thing because she was bitching as I went to go take the kid. I'm like, yeah, just be glad it took that long. Like, that guy did you a solid. You should buy him a beer. Hey, thanks for keeping the dick running till the divorce was finalized. And it's funny because normally you'd think, like, how do you act to the guy that your wife cheated on you with? And you're like, I'll kill him. And this guy was like, yeah, thank God he helped me on that one. But yeah, his original goal when he came to me was, how can I win my wife back? And then by the end, his goal was, I'm going to buy this new condo. It's right by the entertainment district. It's the coolest place. I'm having some big parties here. Plus, there's an extra bedroom, so when my daughter comes over and stays with me, she's got a place to stay. And I'm like, dude, that's a guy truly living. Yeah, keep her in a fog for me. Exactly. Truly living his best life. In fact, he was getting bored with hitting on girls. And he's like, you know what? Because he was like, obviously he's a doctor. He's military. He had a Harley. So he was like a biker. So like all this attractive shit. So he would actually go out and try and like, don't talk about his job. Don't bring his bike. And just see if he could do it with like these crutches in the way. And he's like, that's not bad. It actually was at the point that he actually started online dating just because he wanted the challenge of how hard it is to do online dating compared to like talking to girls in real life. Not that he even wanted to sleep with girls. He's just like, I want a new challenge. This is all kind of getting old hat for me. And I thought it was great. I'm like, I wish I could bottle him up and hand him to you guys and make you drink it like a potion. I'd make millions. I'd make billions. Billions. So yeah, last we talked, probably about a year ago. He was doing great. Career loved him too. He was all worried, like, now that I'm a man whore, I don't think my boss is going to respect me. And he's like, oh, my boss thinks I'm awesome now. The troops are hanging out with me. And my other favorite part, and this is like off topic, but whatever, is that he had this super Chad, one of the guys at the base. Tall, fit, attractive. He's like, I went out with this guy, and he has the worst game I've ever seen. I'm like, yeah, I know. He's a natural. He goes, I know. It's weird. Like, I almost kept up to him. But the girls would just keep approaching him. And he didn't know what to say, so he just kind of smiles and does whatever, and they take him home, and it's great. And me, I'm like fun and charming and, attractive, just not naturally talented like him. And, we're both having fun, but he's just like a lump of wood. And there was a couple times where he'd like swoop underneath, and the girl would go after him instead of the natural dude. And he's like, those were so much fun. But he's like, I like the guy. He's a great wingman. Doesn't care. But yeah, medium is the message. Sometimes it's just nice to understand the subtext of what you're talking about and realize that people lie. They lie to themselves, and through lying to themselves, they tell you the truth. The my truth. That's what my truth means, by the way. It means I've lied to myself, given myself my own self-delusions. And then now that I've lied to myself sufficiently so I believe it, I'm telling you my truth. Oh, you can see him? Yeah. It must be like mealtime. Oh, no, what is it? No, it's 10:45, dude. You're like an hour and a half early. Yeah, he's out. So I always laugh. Oh, I know, Mish. Honestly, Mish, if I had to describe you, I would say you are the Arabic version of the ultimate cad. Another popular guy in this thing. And I mean that as a compliment. He was a very polarizing figure, but the one thing I will say right is that, yeah. The one thing you could never say about him is he didn't know what he was doing, and he wasn't willing to own it. And he had 0 fucks left to give. All right. So I think we're done on that one. I think we'll have time for talking about the table. What did I even talk about on this one? Let me throw another ad up. I need a second here to, where is it? Oh, the podcast one? Oh, that's not there? There it is.
Bigger red flag than a white guy with a podcast. I'll wait.
I am not impressed. I will have you know, I'm like 80% white. The podcast is goddamn good, and I don't want you anyway. You got random Iroquois art and not art on your walls. You're not my type, sir. Or madam. I don't know, you're allowed to say any more? It's funny, I don't hear these on my end, but they're so much fun to watch. I still laugh. They've been around for like that Anthony Johnson one's been there for like a year, and I still laugh every time I see it. Yeah, I'm glad you like it, sir. It's one of my favorites too, because it's the most playful out of all of them. Okay, the table. What do I bring to the table? I fucking hate this topic. What do you bring to the table? Fuck you, I am the table. It's like, oh wow, everybody is so wet for each other. I'm so glad everybody's been having this conversation. Here's a super chat, sir. Here's something for you to jerk off to tonight, because none of you guys are sleeping together. And the reason I hate it, because it's always like, and I know this is going to sound wishy-washy, but it always devalues people to a list of pros and cons and like the checklist. Used to be chicks that did that shit, man. Royce wrote about it in Chateau Artiste, the 427-point checklist of things that a man has to meet in order to sleep with a girl. And he called it a house of cards. He's like, dude, once one falls, they're all falling. And it turns out that list doesn't matter. How she feels matters. That's it. Needs to be 6 feet tall, 6-figure salary, 6-pack abs. Turns out the girl can't see your abs until she's about to sleep with you and you take off your shirt, and by then she's already invested. No girl has ever said, Oh, it's not enough ab. We should call it a night. Ever. Never happened ever. 6 feet tall? Well, it turns out girls, when it comes to IQ differences between men and women, have a horrible spatial IQ, as opposed to men, who are very good at it. Something to do with hunting. So a girl, and that's where all those memes come from, of like 5-foot girl, and then how she pictures a 5'8" guy is like down here saying, you're too short for me. I need a guy who's 6'2". Or like how guys are 5'11" and then 6 feet tall, like that shit. Yeah. Chicks don't know what 6 foot means. They just say it because everybody else says it, and they fall for advertising because they're very easy to manipulate because they're like a herd-based creature. Yeah, give cheap chicks what they want. I'm not even going to say they're cheap. They're just chicks. Some chicks are good. Some chicks aren't as good. It's a skill, right? Not everybody can read Faust. Some people are busy reading highlights for kids, but they can all read. They can all read. What was the other one? Oh, 6-figure salary. With the way I've seen girls manage money, do you think they have any concept of what 6 figures means? They don't know. They just know the marketing jumble. They're going to buy $1,000 Louboutin shoes because it's Louboutin, not knowing that it doesn't mean anything. It's the same shoe they made in China. The only difference is these ones are red at the bottom. Red at the bottom, and they got better marketing. Tighter shirts. Dude, you know what? That's the other thing. Did you ever notice that no older attractive man wears tight-fitting shirts? You know who wears tight-fitting shirts? 20-year-old guys who are like desperate to attract women or gay dudes. And I mean that because guys are visual, so we want to know what's there. But you know what girls look for? Forearms, dude. They look at your forearms. Forearms for man is cleavage for women. Yeah, the red scrapes off really fast, too. They couldn't even be bothered to make the entire thing red. They had to paint red at the end. Tisk tisk. Yeah, girls always add. Girls don't know any of this stuff. And that's why I'll always like, what do you bring to the table? It's like, you don't even know what a table is. If I showed you 3 tables, you'd guess 2 of them were chairs. It's like, don't give me that. And there's the worst part. Men are being raised like defective women. What do you have now? Is he going to shit on Myron again? Yes. Yes. But not because I don't like him, but because that platform is a perfect example on what not to do in your life to be attractive. Unless you want to run a Jerry Springer podcast and make a bunch of money. If that's your case, table away. But looking at girls is like, well, if they say, what do you bring to the table? Let's flip the script on them. What do you bring to the table? Assuming a girl has any self-awareness about this whatsoever. Well, technically I can. And what are they going to do? They're going to rattle off the Richard Cooper list of the 6 things to want to be as a woman. I am a debt-free, tattoo-less virgin with normal hair. And that's all they know. But do you really want to, like, people don't even know that they want this stuff. Really? Colored hair? Do you really care if the girl's hair is colored or not? I don't. Do you? Oh, yes, I do. Because, you know, the colored hair chicks are hoes. I'm like, I'm here to tell you, man. Girls, even the slutty ones, don't want you to think of them as a slut. They don't wear whore uniforms. Some of the biggest whores dress like the nicest girl next door. This is why I laugh when guys are like, I found this Christian girl who's totally into me, and she's the one. And I'm like, dude, that Venus flytrap smells like pollen. I'm gonna go in there and get my sugar water, and then the bee gets caught every fucking time. Every fucking time. Yeah, hoes are fun. Good hoes are quiet. Good hoes are subtle because they know they don't want to be thought of as a hoe. And can you blame them? People are pretty mean to hoes. Girls are very mean to hoes. And guys who the hoes aren't sleeping with are very mean to hoes. The only people who's not mean to hoes are the guys they're sleeping with. And that's a very small segment of the population. So the best hoes, you'll never know they're hoes. In fact, the best hoes probably act like the nicest girls. So when guys say they want a nice girl, they don't know it. But what they say is, I want a girl who's a good liar and who puts out on the first date. They don't know they're saying that because they're buying into the kayfabe. They're buying into the theater of it. It's theater presented as if it's real. And this is the case, man. Oh, yeah, no, she's a good girl. She has a low notch count. Yeah, we did anal the first date, but she's really into me. And that's the difference. She was a total virgin. Then as soon as she met me, she turned into a cock gobbler. You're like, oh, yeah? I wish you luck with that, good sir. I wish you luck. Yeah, grip strength directly correlated to T levels. Oh, well, you know, maybe those butter churning girls just have trained. I've seen this in real life, too. I'm not just hypothetically going. So, I don't know how many of you read Fuck Files, but if you did, there was a chapter in there about this guy, one of the Matts, and his wife Did I use her name or not? But the one that my roommate was like, the next morning, he's like, oh, who's that trailer park bitch you brought home last night? I'm like, oh, that was Matt's wife. He goes, oh, yeah, I'd have fucked her too. I hate that guy. That chick, right? When she met her, now, I think they're still married. I don't even know. She met him at this place called the Carlton Club. Now, if you don't know CFB Esquimalt, that's the West Coast base on Vancouver Island. There is 2 bars right beside the base. There is, well, I guess there used to be the Tudor House, which is burned down since. Everybody who's in the military knows about the Tudor House. That's like the pub, and you never go there because all your chiefs go there, and if you get into trouble, you get into trouble. But like a lot of like the chiefs' ex-wives and shit are there too. And then a little further down the road is this place called the Carlton Club, which 90% of the time you go in there, there's like natives and like really like toothless, blue collar. It's like the poverty bar, right? But, and this is something, if you're ever on the West Coast and you get a chance, find out what the sailing schedule is on ships. And when a ship goes to sea for deployment, go to the bar the next 3 weekends. It will be full of middle class soccer moms and shack rats. My husband's off at sea. I'm just going to have fun and party with the girls on the base. And you're going to, if you ever thought of like, these are military's full of alpha men who keep their women, like, go to the Carlton Club post-deployment weekend. Kill all that illusion. Anywho. So now that you know the context of this place. So he meets her at the Carlton Club. He's like, wow, it's just a great, and he's talking about her. She's a great girl this, she's a great girl that. She's thin, normal hair. She's a redhead, because guys love redheads, because I don't know, whatever. And just speaking well, we're like, oh man, good for you. That's awesome. Where'd you guys meet? Oh, we met at the Carlton Club. He's like, oh, all right. Yeah, but it's fine. She's only ever slept with, or no, she was a virgin when we met or something like that. And we're like, oh, okay. And then it turns out one of the guys from another ship that we know was like, he's dating who? We're like, yeah, this girl named Sarah. Wait a minute. This Sarah? We're like, yeah. And he goes, yeah, I kind of slept with her. And this guy was not an attractive guy. He's kind of a guy that like, he says, when you meet him, and he's like, oh yeah, I banged her. And you look at the girl and you're like, why? Why did you do that? Like most times you'll just like, yeah, high five the guy. But this time everybody always feels bad for the girl. And then so like word started to get around and he's like, okay, so I wasn't her first. I was like her third, but it's fine. And we're like, oh, okay, I get it now. And then she kind of got him into swinging right early. And we're like, oh yeah, shack rats. I don't know what else you guys call them. They're girls that just want to get a military guy. They sneak onto the base and stuff. That's why we call them rats. So got him into swinging that. Ended up having a couple swapping thing with a friend of mine that I sailed with on a different ship, and his girlfriend, who was a friend of mine. She was one of my wingmen when I went out. And so she told me this story, and I kind of got a chuckle on it. I guess she didn't like him because nobody liked him, but that's why she told me the story, because like, this will get it around. And I guess what they had done is they pulled the Jack Murphy where they all 4 of them went to the bed and they were all going to fool around together, but she kicked him out because she didn't want him there. So he had to stand at the bed taking pictures of watching these dudes rail his fiance. And I was just like, and he's telling this story. He's proud of this story. He's like, yeah, dudes, I was there. We had to force him. I'm taking all the pictures. And and when he left, one of my friends is like, I've never seen a guy so proud of like photographing somebody rail his wife before. I'm like, I don't know, man. He's happy. I'm not saying anything. It got so bad that even our bosses would make fun of it. The one time where like, and I didn't sleep with her, but almost. Her friend actually cock-blocked us, thank God. But that didn't matter, because the rumor that I slept with his fiance during a stag was way more interesting. And that's like, that was the first impression they ever had of me when I was on ship, that the guy that nobody liked lost his fiance to me. And I'm like, it's not true. But the more I denied it, the more everybody believed it. Even my boss was giving him crap on it one day. And I was looking, I'm like, P.O., like, really? Like, I got to work with this guy, man. What are you doing? She's like, oh, it's hilarious. Fuck that guy. What was I going with this? Oh, yeah, the table. So what do you bring to the table? Like, who cares? You don't even know what a table is. You don't even know what a table is. And people don't know. Mish, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, welcome to the human condition, where everybody thinks that everybody is damaged and broken. Is like, that's what people are like. Being different than that and being in charge of your own life is like a huge deal, but it seems so natural to you that you can't imagine anybody doing less. When in the alternative world, the one where everybody else lives in, they are like that, Matt. And you are like, you gotta be, there's no way you don't have all this shit. People really are shitty. And it's not because people are shitty. It's because human beings in general, like normal, shitty is normal. Being not shitty is abnormal. It's not even Islam. It's just wrong. But you get it. It's not about like whatever. That's the other thing. The friend and the friends of mine that were doing that foursome with them, I don't have any like whatever. They walked into it knowing exactly what they were doing. They don't care. They owned it. It was a choice. So nobody faults them in this story. But the idea that he's kind of forced into this situation and has to eat it with a smile, that's what gets people. It's not about the degeneracy. It's about the lack of freedom. Yeah, forever and ever. No, it's like, it's literally, and that's why when the Jack Murphy thing happened, I was like, it's just Matt all over again. I get it. Dude, you want to pass your wife off on Tinder dates? That's fine. You want to go sleep around with her in the same room? That's fine too. Do what you do, but just own it. Like, you can't say this isn't some non-degenerate thing, but you're like, I raised a family. I did the TradCon thing. I had a wife. She left me. And now I just want to live like a degenerate and be happy with it. You're just like, I'm like, power to you. Instead, you got to yell at Sydney Watson. You fucking bitch. How dare you bring up the shit that I've done in my life? Don't you know I'm trying to be a better person? By a better person and lie to you, guy. Hats and Clogs, 4334, $2 Segs. Yeah, I'm learning you can't cuss in your titles because it demonetizes you. And I'm making an effort not to swear during the first 30 seconds in that. So this is my effort to kind of to reach out to a more delicate audience who doesn't like this stuff. Yeah, that's one of many. I won't do business. Fair enough. I agree with Chesty too on this one. It's good to be aware of this and non-judgmental about it, because if you're non-judgmental about it, people tell you about it. Case in point, how do you think I found out about this story? Because I don't judge. I don't care. But do you think for a minute I trust that guy? No. He's so thirsty. He's so thirsty and so demeaned. Dude, if you came clean to all this shit and what you thought about it, he'd probably attack you for it. Because he's like, I've worked really hard at coping with this situation that I'm in. I won't have you ruining my good time by telling me the truth. So I'm like, yeah, don't do business with him. Yeah, that's true. As a lawyer, you do eat sin for a living. And you are probably the worst profession on the planet. The most evil ambulance chasing people ever. Yeah, don't be judgmental. Don't do that shit. I mean, do it if you want to, but just own it. It's the same as like, what do you want, right? If you want that, go for it. But if you're forced into that situation and you don't want that, yeah, don't go for it. But then I'm a loser. Well, did you really have her? Did you really have her? Or does she just have somebody that enables her drug addiction? You know, in her case, her drug addiction was like other couples, but whatever. So guys just refuse to take control of their life. And it's embarrassing. But I don't say nothing on it because they'll tell you all about it. And then you can just listen. Oh man, that sucks. Or hey, good for you. That's all you got to say. In fact, it's actually better. It's a skill you got to learn. If you're non-judgmental, it is amazing how honest people are with you because everybody is judgmental. The other guy's embarrassed. He knows it's something that people don't accept. I get that. Try this on a date. In fact, it's one of those things I used to tell guys. I don't know if I tell it much. It doesn't come out much more anymore. But if you want to date a girl and guys are like, I want to vet the blah, blah, blah. I'm like, here's my one vetting strategy I have. And it's actually deceptively good. I learned it when I got my top secret security clearance. And you have to read through a whole bunch of things that you're not supposed to do. And one of those things that I never thought about it is you're not allowed to go drinking with foreign nationals. Like, really? Yeah, if like the president of China asks you to go have some drinks with them at the bar, you're not supposed to go. In fact, if you do go, you're supposed to go report to your CSIS rep and let them know the situation so they can debrief you and see if there's any security issues. And you're like, why is that? Well, it turns out when people are drinking and having fun, they're more forthright. It's called a honeypot. And so if you're dating a girl and you want to find out more about her, sit there and talk about your feelings. Have a couple drinks. Hun, come on over. I got a bottle of wine. I've done this with my girl a few times when we first started dating. It was actually kind of nice. And it was great because like her honesty, I was like, oh, that's kind of nice. I won't share those stories, but they're good stories. But a lot of girls are very bad stories. You just get drunk, confess something stupid you did. It's probably one of the reasons I decided to start dating her, because after that, I'm like a year of this, never got one red flag. And I'm like, holy jeez. All the girls I've slept with, everyone had red flags. This one's just not giving me any. What the hell? I assumed she was really good at lying until after a while. I'm like, no, I don't think she's lying. I think she just really is good. All right, fair enough. But yeah, you get them drunk. You admit to something stupid you did. Like, worst relationship you ever had. Well, it turns out this one was a man, but we stuck together for 3 weeks. It doesn't really matter if it's true or it's not. Most of you guys will have true stories, so that's fine. But it's got to be something that's embarrassing, something you don't like, and something that's degenerate. And if it could be Like, if it's a quality you don't want in somebody else, say that you've done it, you feel bad, you moved on, whatever. And then they usually, just to share and be free, they'll tell you their stories. And you're like, oh, keep that in the back of your mind, don't judge, and then just act. Act the way you want to act. No, there's a Rule 0 today. It's going to be on the half hour, 11:30. So it's one of those things that's kind of neat. Yeah, she kicking him out of bed was an indication. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man. I've come to peace with that. He wants that life, and so just let him live it. Anyways, the whole point of this was the table. Like, what did they bring to the table? You don't even know. Because the things that you bring to the table with a girl, you don't even know what they are. You think you do. Well, I've got a six-pack abs and six. How about this? Girls are neurotic. Across the board. More neurotic than men. Girls are less physically capable than men. Across the board. If you're emotionally stable enough that you're not freaking out over everything, that's what you bring to the table. While you're spinning out of control, I'm here to say, hey, you're spiraling, and to be that soft, comfortable, that oak, right? Huge value. Not one guy thinks of it as something that he gives that the other person wants. In fact, not one girl thinks of it as something that's nice until she's getting it. Same thing with girls. What does she offer? Sometimes just letting you put your guard down and just be yourself without having to worry about it. Like if you're in a very competitive type of industry and stuff, where you can just stop being that guy for a minute. Like obviously not use her for validation. You don't want to do that because that's not her role. But the point where you don't have to put up a pretense around somebody, that's a skill. That's something you can't possibly imagine how important it is. It's nice. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this one. We're almost at the 2-hour mark. We're going to try and keep this one tight. Back from chores. Did I miss anything? Yeah, if you did more chores, Vince, then maybe I would be comfortable enough that I'd want to sleep with you more. So can you get back there and scrub those dishes again, sir? Anywho, so the merch is sitting downstairs. I got to go pick it up. And once I get it up, I'm going to get that out there. I'm looking forward to it. Do check it out. It's at store.ryanstone.com. And you know what? Let me see if I can find... Hold on a sec. I'm going to give you guys, since you managed to stick it out this entire time, I've got a discount code. Now, normally this one is just for... Where is it? Promotions. Normally this is just for guys that are subscribed to the channel, subscribed to the Patreon, members on the second one. There she is. What's the date today? So this one will last for 7 more days. Where'd it go? That's the one. So use this code at that store. I think it's $5 off, which is good. It's about half of what I give like the super duper subscribers. So it's pretty good. It's the second best discount we got on there. The big ones are for guys who are on Patreon. The special edition books, you know what? Let me finish the editing right now. The editing is almost done. I've got 2 more rewrites sections and then 2 more sections to edit. And then that's the first round of editing. The second round of editing will probably be another week, 2 at the most. Then I pass it off to my editor who finishes the edits there. So it'll be out before Christmas. Ideally, I want this out so it can be like a Christmas gift for yourself. Oh yeah, you see that? Yeah, I got Gendernomics, Unplugged Alpha, Rational Male fell over with the Scotch. And then Troy Francis is still in the game. Man over 40 and picking up girls. The Patreon code should be in Patreon. I tell you what, after I'm done with this, I'll go check and make sure it's there. But it should be, if you go to like the main Patreon page, there is the collection of the old Mids Watch recordings. And the coupon code should be another post in that section. They're pinned, so they should always be there. So that'll be good. A seasonal collection. There's so many what ifs, Tuber. Let me finish the work first. Let me do the work. And then I'll get on it. But on that note, where is my... There they are. Let's get this end credit time on there. Yeah, go back for it. Thanks. But we'll see. I might end up doing a 3rd edition of Fuck Files. Go through it again. Add the illustrious 13th chapter that nobody except for Rob seemed to have noticed, which lets me know if you've read it or not. Maybe actually add it right at the end. Anywho, hope you guys enjoyed yourself. I hope you learned a little bit. Like I said, this is more about like the inner game stuff as opposed to outer game. Everybody likes tips and tricks. Nobody wants to work on themselves. I hope you guys got there. Music's a little on the loud side. Oh no, the music's off because I forgot to turn it back up. There we go. Now the music's on. Now we got our 20-second thing. So don't forget, Rule 0 right after this is going to be on John Fitch's channel. We're talking about the John Core Complex. Once the stuff's all done, I'll start having guests on the channel again. I've got a lineup of like 12 people I want to ask to see if they're coming on. It should be fun. At this point, I am done. Thanks for your likes. Thanks for subscriptions. Share it with everybody because I don't grow from the algorithm because I don't do rage bait. So you're going to have to show this off to your friends on Facebook to get me there. So I'll catch you guys later. Have fun.